Hi, everyone. Welcome, and thanks for joining us for Stars of Franchising.
Get ready for a roller coaster ride through the world of franchising as we bring you the best stories of inspiration and entrepreneurial grit and turning dreams into franchise realities.
That's right, Vinny. From emerging to global brands, we'll chat with the genius minds behind the magic. All brought to you by the Tariq Farid Franchise Institute at Babson College. I'm Ab.
And I'm Vinny. Now, buckle up for some serious inspiration.
Today we are here with Babson alum and grad, former student athlete. I think Vinny, Alex DiPietro, our first Babson undergrad franchisee that is on the show.
Yeah, that says congratulations. You're making history today.
I'll wear that hat proudly. I'm a hat guy, so I'll wear that one proudly.
Well, welcome. We're so excited to have you here, and we usually start with a question, Alex, of what's your purpose, your why, what calls you to do what you do, and that could be from your life from a student athlete hockey player to now, or just what's your purpose?
Yeah, no, things that's a loaded question, but I think things change as you get older, and I would argue a little bit wiser in some degree. But my purpose has shifted obviously from coming out of sport and then raising two boys. So my purpose every day is just my family. Which kind of obviously led me into a family business, which is franchising, which I'm sure we'll discuss. But my purpose every day is just building something that I can leave to my children, and that's a legacy for our family.
That's powerful. That's
great. Alex, just talking about making history. Last year, Babson formally introduced sales as a concentration.
Oh, there you go.
And then now, actually, this Saturday, we're going to have the first 3 students concentrating in sales, graduating from Babson.
Nice.
That's pretty incredible stuff, yeah.
And why I say that is that more and more people are saying that there's no sales, there's no business.
I would agree.
And then you went into sales, tech sales.
Yeah. I did.
And then you got into franchising. Did selling in tech, that experience, did it help you in any way? And if so, how?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I would tell you, so I graduated in 2009, coming off a tough exit for the country and for things going on, and getting a job was kind of not necessarily something that was super easy. I actually was able to leverage a lot of my alumni connections through hockey and Babson, and got connected to I say startup. It was pretty large at the time, but considered a startup in the tech space, a company called Brocade out of California. I never thought of sales, honestly. It never crossed my mind. Didn't know anyone in sales. My dad grew up in the parking industry, just kind of working class guy, and just not something, obviously everyone, they think of sales, they think of the car salesman, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And it's funny because as I got more into it, educated myself, went through the program, had some relative success in it, it kind of shifted my whole mindset.
Yeah.
And I tell people now, and it's great to hear that. It's the first I'm hearing of it with the sales part, but completely shifted my mindset, because I think, to your point, sales is in everything you do.
Yes.
I'm constantly feel like I'm selling myself, business, different things like that, and it's such an important trait. Right, being able to socialize your ideas, to find pain points in what someone might be trying to find a solution for. I think when you think of sales, you get a little bit down a windy road of, I need to sell this thing, right? And it's really not about the thing, right? And I think once salespeople in general, I'm sure this is part of the class, and I have a lot of great close friends in sales still, and guys that run companies and do those things, but they're always selling. Right, wow. They're selling their company themselves, and I think it's such an important trait, and really the backbone, I think, of anything you do. Because if you can sell something, if you can relate to someone at a level and figure out what it is they're trying to solve for, I think you can accomplish a lot of things outside of actually just physically selling a widget or something else. So I'm a big advocate for it.
And so Alex, how did that shape your going into franchising, and how is it helping you? Because you said it's about creating relationships, solving problems for people.
100%, yeah. My path is not as exciting in the sense. I married my wife, and I was actually doing really well.
That's exciting.
Oh yeah, it was definitely exciting. The wedding was an exciting time. I shouldn't say.
It's a record.
Yeah,
right?
we can cut that. We can cut that part. as exciting as it was to marry my wife, it led to a lot of different discussions. My father-in-law, who's been a legacy guy in Dunkin for 50 plus years, had grown this terrific business and this infrastructure for his children. And as I was progressing in sales, and as we started to discuss having a family, topic obviously came up of how do we want our family to look, and what do we want that to kind of evolve into. And as those discussions happened, it obviously made a lot of sense for me to start getting more involved in the business. And it was great because, having this background and this framework of entrepreneurship, having the framework of business, right? Just the overall underlying business framework was unbelievably beneficial as you evaluate the business as someone who hasn't been involved in franchising, as you look at where can we take this, what can we do, and how do we get there, was extremely beneficial. And it was exciting, right? Because I'd been in this sales kind of grind, constantly meeting new people and traveling and doing a lot of fun stuff as a younger person. And now I'm talking about family, settling down and really building something for my family. And it was very exciting. And I think as we progressed the business, as we kind of spawned out to do other things, it all kind of connected to what we were taught here, which is, evaluate and really analyze and figure out, a great direction and analyze what the right moves are for you. So it was super beneficial.
Well,
So you put in action, think deeply and act decisively. And you have to, right? In the
you can have death by indecision too, right? I see that a lot from business people, and from even operating in a family business. You see people who analysis paralysis, right? And you look at something, and don't get me wrong, you have to analyze and you have to kind of look at all the numbers and make sure things make sense for you, but you got to live and die by the sword. And that's where being an athlete and being in sport, I think, is such a core benefit for me specifically. I have my sons in sports because you learn to lose, but it's those things and those losses that push you forward, and you learn from them, and you learn to make better decisions every time. And the same thing I've found in business is you may have some mistakes, but it teaches you something, and then you can leads to more decisive thinking because what one thing leads to another. So it's been super beneficial.
Well, let's talk a little bit about following in the footsteps, so to speak, of one of the legacy great operators, created a wonderful legacy. How have you and your wife and team, have managed that? Maybe a few lessons you've learned from him, and then that pivot to maybe doing some different things within the family.
The pivot's a big one. But I would tell you, my father-in-law, Carlos Andrade, he's a brilliant man. He's what you would consider the American dream, right? He came over here as an immigrant from Portugal, a tiny island in the Azores, one of 10, came down. His brother had been in the business. And just what you've heard from in a lot of initial immigrant stories, just not afraid to work, not afraid to get his hands dirty. And I think his superpower at the time was his fearlessness, right? At the time, Dunkin was a growing brand, looking for operators, looking for people that would just kind of get their hands dirty and roll up their sleeves. And he had the ability to act decisively and just say yes. Right. And at a time where people were very comfortable and could get easily very comfortable, he wasn't comfortable. And I think that discomfort led him to continuing to say yes. And he was able to grow beyond actually what a lot of people were able to do at the time. And the thing that I think separates him from a lot of people, especially as it pertains to even now, he's extremely giving, right? He gave to his children. He's built something for his family. He's got so many people in the stories. I've been married to my wife going on, I think, 14 or 15 years. And the stories just continue to grow of this person who needed a hand or got into the business because of Carlos. And Neil Faulkner, I'm sure he was on this show too, he'll tell you about how instrumental Carlos was in getting him involved. And it grows and grows. But, selfless guy, not afraid to work, still involved in the business. He's focused his attention a little bit more on what we call the kitchen, which is where we make the donuts. But loves it, lives for it, and keeps him sharp and keeps him involved. So it's been big shoes to fill.
I'm sure.
But I would tell you, it's you don't want to fill small shoes either.
Yeah,
right?
I love that. And it's some great lessons there too, especially for our audience that's considering becoming a franchisee. Really, what's the profile? Are they emerging, as you stated?
Yeah.
Is it established? What opportunity is there for growth? But I love that. And I hadn't really thought about that with Carlos's story, that saying yes and being decisive early on,
Yeah.
you know, you think, oh, it was a big brand and just buy up stores. No, he had to take some risks,
Oh, lots of
calculated risks,
Yeah.
to really grow it. The other thing I'd share too is this, I loved hearing was that he's created opportunities probably for wealth creation and career progression for a lot of his employees, right?
Oh,
Store
my God,
manager
Tom.
to regional, to probably ownership.
So it's been, hugely unique. And a lot of guys did this early on. I'm not sure if this necessarily exists anymore. We continue to do it. Just to your point, guys that were with him for years, that grew in the business with him, where he was able to actually, it's a benefit on both sides, right? So he was able to grow into other markets. We have stores that went all the way down to Bridgeport, Connecticut, where he would give opportunity to be a partner. Yeah. They'd obviously have the opportunity, but they'd have to shift their life a little bit, and they grow and develop the stores, and then build a network down there and become franchisees and be involved and understand the different aspects of business that, again, aren't guys that had the ability to graduate Babson. They didn't have they weren't afforded those types of things. So kind of trial by fire a little bit. But he's made a lot of people business people, and he's gotten a lot of people involved. So it's been very cool to see.
I love that.
And it's also interesting to see the way you put it, that this Carlos was someone who he gives to get. First and foremost, gives opportunity and enable people to make things happen. And that is what has made himself also to continue to grow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, wow, this is...
Yeah, no, it's very important. To your point, I just want to touch on it. The importance of people in your business, it's the only thing.
Yeah.
Because in a business where you're dealing with people, and that's every business, you need to understand people on both sides, right? And I always joke both sides of the counter, right? Your customer and your employee. And to your point, if people feel like there is a track or a place to go, and they're feeling rewarded for their efforts and able to get there, then it creates an environment and creates a culture that rewards your customers as well. So he did a great job on that. It's something I learned from constantly, how he treats people and how, how I want to be treated as an employee of his, right? To some degree. So, but the people part is I think in any business, the people is the only part. If you keep the people happy, if you keep the people engaged and incentivized, then I don't care what business it is.
Right.
People are going to want to work.
So, Alex, let's talk about people a bit. A Portuguese and Italian.
I know. Similar menu, though. Similar menu. It's funny because I actually just got my Portuguese citizenship about a year ago, and the woman at the consulate goes, an Italian becoming Portuguese. I've never seen this before.
He said, I'll take it.
Hey, listen.
Okay. So I was going to go back to when you joined, because there were only 70 locations there.
Yeah.
And then you came in, and then from there on, we're talking about practically doubling what the company had. So tell us about that. How were you able to do the scaling, and what were the challenges you
definitely
faced along the way, and how did that shape what you have now and what is going to come in the future?
Yeah, listen, as much as I'd love to pat myself on the back and take credit for it, it's always a group effort. I operate the business with my two brother-in-laws and my father-in-law, obviously. And it was really about timing and opportunity. We've since shifted again. But at the time, I think it was 2015, we had an opportunity to get into a new market in Orlando. Yeah. It was about 33 stores in a market that was continuing to evolve with the shift, and this was pre-COVID, but even still the shift of New Englanders down south a little bit. Right. And then we had an SDA, which is an agreement to open stores in a specific area, which was unique to us because in New England, it's such a penetrated market. You don't get that real opportunity to grow. So we found that was the exciting part for us, right? Go into a market that's emerging and really, plant some flags in places where we thought we could be successful. We opened, I believe, 10 stores in a year. So we moved at a rapid pace. Very fast. We're getting operations a little bit more settled, and then COVID hit.
Wow.
And it became more difficult to get there. We had partners there that were people we had entrusted in the business that we had made franchisees, and we're doing a great job. But it was a big mistake in the sense of hitting at the wrong time.
Yeah.
I think my brother-in-laws would attest to this too. We loved the market. We feel like we could have got our hands around it. It set us back quite a bit during COVID.
Yeah.
A little bit after COVID, we were approached by someone who was in that market looking to really explosively grow, who offered us an opportunity to reset.
Yeah.
And we kind of took that.
I see.
So we stepped away from Orlando. We're looking at continued growth up here. There's still some consolidation opportunities up here. So we're continuing to do that and acquire different locations around New England. And one thing we found, which was kind of a lesson for us, was every market and every sub-market is very different, how a customer behaves.
Yeah.
In Florida, what you would think would be a terrific site for a Dunkin, hard corner at a stoplight on the AM side of the road would be something that wouldn't necessarily translate in Florida. So it was a unique learning experience, but it gave us a lot of perspective. It gave us a lot of much-needed learnings, but really gives us a good framework to now evaluate different new markets that we look at. But it was a great learning experience. We had a lot to do, and it was a lot of fun, but stepping back was probably the right move at the time.
Okay, interesting.
Now, if we're talking new markets, walk us through a little bit about your process now for evaluating new markets going forward.
Yeah.
How you do that, and maybe to your point, in the markets you don't know as well.
Yeah.
And some of the criteria.
Yeah. So Dunkin' in itself is a unique brand. We obviously offer a full menu of products.
Yeah.
But we really have to, in order to maintain profitability, we have to sell beverages, right? And as you look at emerging markets, the biggest hurdle that you face is getting your beverage percentage to a point where you can be profitable. So you go to some of these emerging markets where they see donuts on the menu and they come in and that's all they want. They don't know about coffee. They just want to buy donuts from you, which isn't a high margin product for us. It's sort of an add-on to coffee. It's an upsell type of item that we offer. But if your beverage mix isn't at a kind of 60 to 70 plus,
which is normal of New England. The brand's been around,
100%,
but it's less than 50 maybe in Ohio, Chicago.
Correct.
Emerging. Okay.
And then you get into some of these food items where margin's a little bit, lower. It's harder to maintain a good enough profitability to continue to grow. So you see a lot of people who go into emerging markets and they get stuck a little bit with a few units because they haven't hit that profitability to roll it into the next thing. So as we look at markets, I think growth is a huge area of opportunity for us. Markets that will allow us to open up new locations is a big one because we're so penetrated in some areas. It's not a lot of, it's really moving chess pieces. You go across the street, you go into a drive-through, stuff like that. But looking at emerging markets where there's growth and really where the market's going, and if you can get to that beverage unit mix, because if you can get there, then you can kind of be stable enough to continue that growth. So
Well, let me follow on that, because sometimes there's this perception that franchising is, you don't have to get your hands dirty or be an absentee, and you obviously know your stores and know the margins. Talk about your day-to-day and help our listeners understand that, you got to know your customer and be in the store and know your numbers.
There's different mindsets,
What's
right?
yours?
My mindset is I would never ask someone to do something I can't do.
Got it.
So, when I look at trying to build a culture, trying to build a team, trying to motivate and get people aligned with what my values are, I feel like if they don't know me, if they don't see me do it, if they're not understanding of what I'm bringing to the table, they're going to be less motivated to do those same things, right? So my feeling is obviously I have a million things, a bunch of hats that I wear outside of day-to-day operations. I have a great person working for me in operations who's been with the company for 25 years, and she's a lifesaver in a lot of respects. So she's been extremely helpful in kind of maintaining that culture. But I try to be in the stores a lot. I've recently got into general contracting, our remodels in some of the locations, which is
doing it yourself.
Doing it myself, So just in franchising, I'm sure you've heard this. There's a requirement every X amount of years you have to refresh the images and stuff like that. We're in the process of a very large one refresh. We've taken donuts out of the name. We're adding things like tap systems and trying to evolve with our customer. but that obviously comes at a
Cost.
cost.
Yeah.
So in an effort to maintain good timing around these remodels and short windows and even shorter checks that I have to cut.
Yeah.
I've got involved. I got my general contractor's license, so we've been doing a lot of that, trying to roll those through and get that situated for the next evolution of what we're trying to bring to our customer. But my day-to-day, I tell people, if you can imagine owning 100 different homes,
Yeah. Something's going wrong somewhere.
so there's always a fire to put out. So firefighter might be one of the hats I wear. It's just it's constant. This broke. This lease needs to be negotiated.
Sure,
We have a new piece of real estate here. We're trying to develop this, and then that obviously springboards to other things that we've gotten into outside of franchising with real estate development and stuff like that. So there's no shortage of work. It's just what needs my most attention during that specific day.
Well, I think it's clear that Carlos' legacy is continuing, right? He was in the stores. You know your employees, know your customers, make sure the guest is served.
Yeah,
that's great pearls of wisdom.
I'm going to go back again.
Sure.
You started in tech sales, franchising, and now real estate. Okay, so very soon we're going to go into plumbing, and
I know a little bit about that too, but I don't have my license though. That's the only license I don't have.
So this is interesting, Alex, because if you look at your operations now with about 130 stores, yes, even though you are the real estate thing, but we have to do a lot of subcontracting, maybe outsourcing, like the plumbing, the electrician, and all these services. If I own just one unit, that's no big deal.
Sure.
Right? But now you have 130 units.
Yeah.
Tell us about how you successfully, over time, manage all those relationships with all these different, ecosystem that surrounds your
Spread
operations.
out too.
Yeah. It's a huge part of
No, 100%.
How do you do that?
So in fairness, we've shrunk a little with the peeling off the Orlando market. So we're sub 100 units, but still large. I would tell you, shavings make a pile as far as, number of units. I think there's a certain point, I'm not sure what that is, where you really need to bring that infrastructure in-house. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's obviously contingent on, proximity and locations. We've brought a lot of that in-house.
Okay.
So equipment repairs, electrical services, stuff like that. We've brought a lot of that in-house.
Because of the response time and then being nimble.
When something's broken, it's costing you money.
Yeah.
Right? And if you call a AC company, if you call a oven company, they're going to get to you when their time permits.
Yeah. Right.
They're not at your time. So every second, and the same thing when we remodel, every second you close, you're losing money and potentially giving someone else your customer, right? So that's the way we view it. Luckily in some of these markets, we're our own neighbor. So you kind of lose a customer to yourself, but you're trying to keep everyone coming to you and keep that cadence regular, right? So to your point on the growth part, and that's part of our growth plan, right, is to try to consolidate to a point where we have a nice infrastructure, but we're also kind of our own neighbors, our own ecosystem, our own microcosm, right? Yeah. So that gives us efficiencies in a lot of the, equipment fix areas. It gives us efficiencies in negotiating our other bills for plowing, for landscaping. So when you can call a trash company and say, can you service my 50 locations in these surrounding towns, you get a lot better negotiating power. Yeah. But there's also part of that where maybe they don't travel here, they don't travel there. So that's part of the growth plan, is to try to keep it concise but stay nimble enough to still be able to shop certain things out and get good pricing and not have to necessarily bring it all in-house. But
so if I don't mind, I'm going to piggyback on your response, because now one thing is to walk inside the store. Okay, the people who walk inside the store, they have the culture that Carlos and all of you are trying to engender. Now the folks that work in the corporate, they sell these ancillary services. How do you get them to buy into that culture also? Because they know if I don't get to that place on time, whatever I do, it's going to impact on that market facing or the customer facing side. So how do you ensure that they also are part of the
it's a terrific question, and I think it's all about, to your point, the initial part. It's the sales part, right? So I have to make sure that these vendors understand my pain, right? And if I can sell them on my pain, then they know that I'm going to take care of them in the long haul. So I work with a lot of smaller vendors. There's a few guys we work with that so I don't know if people know this, but we cook our bagels and muffins daily. So we have actual large ovens, gas ovens in our stores, and occasionally those things will break, and we've become friendly with a lot of the techs that come to the sites that our guys, on certain things our guys don't handle. So those guys are, lifesavers. And what they'll end up doing is maybe they'll go start their own business, or they'll move companies, and we'll be their first phone call because they know that's the value they add to that company, or that's the value that they're going to bring to their own company. So we have great relationships with those guys, and it's honestly gotten to the point where I prefer to work with entrepreneurs that understand the value and will actually respond in a manner of understanding that I know that if I help his pain, he'll come back to me, and we'll have this symbiotic relationship, and it works great.
Win-win.
It's win. Unfortunately, what happens is they end up getting so busy because that catches fire with other people that then they have to prioritize. And we're not shy to remind them, don't forget who the first phone call was, right? But no, it's to your point. But I relate that back to your initial question, which is on sales, because you need to sell yourself, and there needs to be an understanding around, if I help you and you help me, we're both understanding where that leads us. So it's a great tool.
Okay. I love it. Well, I think it sounds a lot like teammates, right? The frontline scorer, which you probably are like, has got to show some love and have a relationship.
I was a defenseman,
like that
so I'm just protecting everybody.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right? I mean, that's building that culture.
Definitely.
I love that story and that goodwill you're creating. To depend on each other. Well, let's shift a little bit to, the industry and maybe some of the challenges out there. I know you're involved in with other franchisees. Tell us a little bit about the landscape, your involvement, and kind of maybe some key issues we should be thinking about, and the audience should be thinking about, or challenges.
Yeah, it's an interesting time. I thought getting out of COVID, it would be the craziest time of my life, which it was. But now, as we roll into obviously a new presidency, as we roll into talks on tariffs, as we roll into just different things that kind of make their way into our lives every day, the headaches never end. And I think that's business ownership, right? That's entrepreneurship. I was with a Babson alum this morning, just talking business a little bit, and he said, if you don't have headaches, do you even own a business? But yeah, the things we're looking at is obviously what's driving our customer. Right, in Dunkin' Donuts, we cater to blue-collar people that want to get in and out. They're going to work. They have places to be. We're not the place they want to be. They're going to the place they want to be, so we're a stop on the way. So how do we cater to them? What are their needs? What are they looking for? Is it value? Is it, a breadth of menu that maybe we're not offering? Is it different options? I think one thing we've done incredibly well in the last 5 years is market ourselves to our own audience. I think for a long time, outside of Fred the Baker days, we kind of lost our way a little.
We're just trying to be someone else.
And I don't think we had an identity, really. I think we've really leaned into being a hometown brand, and what does that mean, and what does that mean as far as what we're offering our customers. I think we've done a good job. And now it's just trying to narrow that target. I think our competitors are having a rough time finding that identity right now. You see things going on with Starbucks, the new CEOs, trying to figure out what are their customer wants. I think we're all fighting for a lot of the same customers. So I think we're trying to just navigate those rocky waters, and from a pricing perspective, from a offering perspective. So just being able to understand that. And also, where are we able to save money so that we can offer value?
I was going to get to that, which is pressures on your income statement. And, chicken prices, coffee, right?
Coffees,
labor pressures.
100%.
On challenges like that, are other franchisees resources? I mean, y'all have been in the system a long time. Talk to us about sharing of ideas or best practices with franchisees.
Definitely. No. So one thing I was shocked at when I joined the company, or become a franchisee, a while back, was the lack of collaboration.
Really?
Quite honestly. I was, half of them we were related to through marriage. So we've changed. We've shifted that quite a bit. I think communication is key.
Yeah.
In anything you do. I tell my wife that. No, but it's huge. And as you have these discussions, because let's use an example, right? You go to a landlord, and maybe that's a large, large real estate holdings company, or a large, like in our case, Centers
REIT.
locally or REIT or something. They're going to go negotiate with every franchise or franchisee differently depending on what's on the line. But if I know what you just signed a 10-year lease for with the same person up the street, and we can collaborate on what that looks like, now I have ammunition to go and say, hey, the guy down the street. So I think all that stuff helps. We do a lot, and I do a lot with the second generation of at least the folks in Dunkin to try to create more of a collaborative space, whether it's on something as small as garbage bills or landscaping or issues with what we think we could do better in the brand. So I think collaboration is absolutely key to a lot of it. That's what we're trying to continue to build, because I think as you look at savings or people or employees or don't hire this one, they stole from me, or don't do this, that, and we're close, right? There's a Dunkin' on every street corner, so you can throw a rock and hit someone that might own a competing but similar business. So I think that collaboration just helps build a better brand, because at the end of the day, it makes us more profitable, puts better people in the stores, and it's consistent. And that's all the people are looking for, right?
So Alex, we're going to play hockey now. Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay. You know every sport.
No, I don't think so. So up until just about a month or so ago, Wayne Gretzky was the...
I know.
Okay? And then this guy, I don't know what's
Alexander
his name again.
Ovechkin.
Alexander Ovechkin.
Yeah.
Just
Broke his record. Yep.
And I remember Wayne Gretzky, which time they asked him, how come you were able to score so many goals?
Yeah.
And his famous response that I always go to where the puck is going to be, not where it is.
Yeah.
So let's bring that to your operations now.
Yeah.
How are you trying to be where the market is going to be?
Yeah, no, that's an interesting question. One other famous quote from Wayne Gretzky, which is one to throw in a business too, is you miss 99% of the shots, or 100% of the shots you don't take.
I love it, yeah.
So that's his other quote. But predicting the market's difficult, right? I don't know that there's any real good kind of bow and arrow to putting on a good target on where things are going. I think, to your point, in being present, listening to your customers, listening to your employees, understanding what's being said, where you might be losing people or people are going is kind of like having your ear on the pulse, right? So trying to be involved as much as you can. And I love the collaboration point, just talking about it, right? Where do you see? What do you see? And kind of trying to find a middle ground there, I think, is extremely important. I think in some of the ancillary stuff we do with real estate, that helps guide where we think the market's going, and it helps us honestly build a market, right? So we're developing a site right now. We're consolidating two Dunkin' Donuts that we don't own land and building, and we're building one, and we're building a retail area around it. And that helps us, right? Because that helps us drive people to our own locations.
Right.
While also developing a piece of real estate that's beneficial to the company and to legacy. So trying to funnel those different ideas and get like-minded concepts in an area and driving people to those areas helps us kind of maybe not predict but dictate, which I think if you can be in the driver's seat for a lot of that stuff, that's where you want to be versus guessing or hoping and crossing your fingers. So as much as we can do that, we try to. And that was, again, a lot of the things we couldn't do with a market that was so far away like Florida. We couldn't really be as vocal and dictate a lot of those things. We weren't as familiar. So bringing things back to New England, allowing us to really understand every sub-market and where things were going allowed us to actually do more of that.
Sure. I'm going to shift a little on the collaboration to the relationship with your franchisor. Just to go a lot of different areas, but we've had as our guest and in the classroom in my course, Nigel Travis, who I think is one of the best and navigated the brand through some challenging times and did some wonderful things. And through your family, your father-in-law, and what you're seeing now, the brand has done a lot of different things and had its ups and downs, and looks like it's doing well. Can you just share for the audience some of the great things either Dunkin' or franchisors are do, and even if if it's an emerging brand, how they should act or treat their Z's? Like what have you noticed as a franchisee that makes a good partnership?
Yeah, I've had the luxury of being through private and public.
Okay.
And now we're private again, and presumably
it's
going public at some point. It's an interesting thing because they act differently, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's call it for what it is. But to your question, I think the absolute crucial part of this, and you'll find in any business, right? It's never a hug and best friend relationship. And I think in any business, it's good to have a little bit of headbutting.
Yeah.
It's like when you played sports, you're playing your best friend, but when when they drop the puck.
Yeah. No friends in
We're not
between the white lines.
That's it. We're
what
not
my
friends
football
anymore.
coaches used to say.
That's it. And you're essentially arguing for the benefit of your business and your family. So
Yeah,
there's
agreed.
always
Healthy tension.
healthy tension. That's a great way to put it. And I think that the guys like Nigel, the guys who get involved and really understand the franchisees and what makes us tick, have that healthy tension. And there's always a good negotiating table, and there's always some sort of middle ground that you can find. I think that when you get in this overweight area where decisions are being made without some sort of collection of ideas from franchisees, that's when you feel like, from a franchisee perspective, you might be losing control of your own business, and you feel like that tension becomes a little bit less agreeable, and you kind of put your hands up a little bit more. So I think healthy tension is extremely important. I think that at the end of the day, they have to understand that we're only as good as they allow us to be.
Yeah.
And if they give us enough room to kind of spread our wings, and if we're doing all the right things and being accountable for our decisions, then everyone's going to be super, super happy with their P&Ls. But
Vinny, what do you say? I know we got to wrap up. What a wonderful session. Should we do some of our new lightning session?
Oh man,
maybe maybe before the lightning, maybe I have a interesting question. I
Sure.
know, Alex, given his Italian origin.
There you go.
What keeps you awake at night, and why?
I don't know that I sleep too much anymore, actually. What keeps me awake? I struggle with the idea, having come from legacy, to self-identifying what my legacy will be, right? Mm-hmm. So
That's interesting.
we didn't touch on this. I grew up in a family, I played hockey. My brother was a goalie, played in the NHL for 12 years. He was the first goalie ever drafted #1, had a terrific hockey career. And I struggle with a similar thought from a hockey perspective.
Yeah.
So now I find myself in big shoes again in a business world, and try to figure out what my legacy is. I think that would be probably a difficult one, but at the same time, understanding what I'm leaving for my children and what does that mean, and how do I raise a family where they're motivated, right, and they're want to take that, take the baton by the fist and run with them themselves. So it's those things. I think. Listen, at the end of the day, to the point earlier, there's a million headaches, and you gotta be careful not to let it drown out the important stuff.
Okay.
Family's the important stuff. Health is the important stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All the important stuff is what allows me to get at least 5 or 6 hours of sleep. And then the other stuff, we tackle it when we wake up. But being able to really dictate, family, health, and all that stuff is the important stuff. So
that's true. Thank you.
All right. Are hockey players really good golfers? Mostly,
we can swing the club. I don't know. What is a good golfer, right?
Oh, and it's one hole a day or one shot. So we're gonna do a little lightning round. What do you say, Vinny? You up for this?
Listen, I'm ready.
All right. So, you prefer opening new location or acquiring existing?
New.
More times in ops or strategy?
What do I prefer?
What do you prefer?
Oh man, I do love getting my hands dirty.
Okay.
Strategy is probably where I spend a good amount of time, but I do like jumping in and getting dirty.
All right. Before I turn it to Vinny, as a customer, drive-through or walk-in service?
Drive-through.
All right, gotcha. Vinny?
Morning rush or afternoon lull?
Say that again.
Morning rush?
Morning rush or
afternoon?
Afternoon lull?
I wish we had more of an afternoon business, so I would default to morning rush, but if we can get those afternoons pumping, I'm in.
Okay. Self-service kiosk or counter service?
Counter all day.
Counter service, okay.
I'm a people guy.
Okay. Favorite Dunkin menu item?
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh man, I drink a cold brew every day. So
you do?
Cold brew, yeah.
Okay.
Was there resistance to adding cold brew? at the time in this? I mean, not resistance, but
No, not resistance. Listen, at the end of the day, the biggest difficulty we have with adding products is keeping it simple and keeping it consistent. So we just try to be careful that we're not rolling some cart before the horse,
Gotcha.
right? So being able to get it out and get it consistent.
Mentor you most admire?
Oh, my dad.
Your father, okay. Entrepreneur also, or was he?
No,
Did he
well,
have entrepreneurial?
I mean, in his own way, yes.
Yeah, okay.
In his own way, yes.
Favorite hockey player, Gretzky or
Ovechkin.
Ovechkin?
Gretzky.
Gretzky,
Actually, Ray Bourque. I was a defenseman. It's Ray Bourque, but yeah.
Okay.
But if the two, I have to choose amongst the two.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate you coming back home to Babson, Alex.
First undergrad is all I'm
First
saying.
undergrad on the Stars of Franchising, and we're really sincere in saying we're proud of you as a representative of the Babson family. We're really excited to have you share. I think, Vinny, you would probably agree, just some really gems on leadership and, links to sports and legacy.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really important. And sales.
Voila.
There we go. There we go.
Are you doing? Are you teaching the sales?
Of course, that's why. He's a sales guy.
We have now about 5 or 6 sales courses, different courses.
I have a guy that I got to introduce you to.
Oh, please.
He owns a sales company that only hires former athletes and veterans.
Oh, really?
Love it.
J.R. Butler. Yeah, he's a former sales leader that I grew up in the system with, former hockey player at Holy Cross, and he started a company called Shift Group.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's a pretty exciting thing that he did.
Please, I want to maybe actually, so this year, Alex, we're having our second annual Sales Leadership Summit.
Yeah.
September 17th.
Oh, very cool.
And then the following day, we're having our first ever Babson Sales Job and Sales Career Fair.
Awesome.
Oh, very cool.
Well,
Yeah,
you
they will
sales
not
in the
have-
entrepreneurial, role too. I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're Babson is standing up for sales.
So
I love
Standing
it.
up for sales.
Love
So
it.
please, I would like that connection.
Great.
I
that we
will.
can-
No, definitely.
and you as well. And one last one, as a father who coached his kids, Vinny's kids
man.
play sports. All right, multi-sport athlete
100%.
or did you name right or
No,
single?
you have
This
to.
dedication, right?
Listen,
you gotta be.
it's a struggle I deal with every day.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much access to secondary coaching on any sport,
Yeah.
but you gotta try it all.
I agree.
Throw a ball, hit a baseball,
Right.
all that stuff.
One of the college coaches I spoke to and professional athletes said, I'd rather have a guy who sat on the bench and hoops but grinded every day than in a batting cage 12 months a year. So, all right, Alex, we're going to let you go. Thanks for
Thank you
coming
both.
home to
Thank you.
Babson.
Yeah.
Appreciate
This
it.
was great. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Stars of Franchising.
Stars of Franchising was produced at Babson College, engineered by Travis Gray. Karen Soa is our guest coordinator, and music by Ralph Taylor.
If you like Stars of Franchising, be sure to review us wherever you get your podcasts and spread the word and share these stories any way you can.